As we've come to expect, a completely normal Thursday night football game where the Niners were 7.5-point favorites. Kendrick Bourne had 142 receiving yards. There was a fumble on the goal line, and there was a 4th-and-1 stuff in overtime. Derrik, at least these games are they're fun. At least these Thursday night games are wildly entertaining, even if there are stretches of them where it feels like we might not have enough to talk about by the time they're over.
They've given us some good ones and 2 back-to-back with some good NFC West action, actually, which has been really, really fun. So maybe that's part of it too. The division is just really fun. But even before that, we got what was it? Bills, Dolphins. We're getting some good ones early this year. Hopefully that trend continues.
I gotta say, I roll my eyes sometimes that clearly, like with the spend that Amazon made, the NFL went out of their way to like put good teams on Thursday night. They've been doing this for a few years now. And sometimes I kind of roll my eyes and I'm like, man, I wish these games, like these teams are good enough where I wish they had a full week. I wish we got to see like the Sunday version of this game. But then at the same time, this is a hell of a lot better than 2 bad teams mucking around for 3.5 hours. So, it's cynical, but they know what they're doing, don't they?
Well, there's part of me that does long for the color rush mustard uniforms from the Jacksonville Jaguars against Marcus Mariota. And I guess I was going to say Mike Munchak. Who was the coach of those teams though, back in the day there?
Oh,
that
God,
I'm thinking of that now I can't land on right now.
You're putting me on the spot here. I was prepared to talk about so many things.
Ken Wisenhunt?
Ken Wisenhunt was one of them. There were a bunch of just very forgettable Titans coaches during that stretch, but I'm just imagining Blake Bortles in those mustard uniforms against Marcus Mariota. It is better than that. The other part of it is I enjoy the fact that they're island games because I just love the fact that we had to like lock in on these teams. We actually don't have to watch anything else. We get the full experience of watching what has often been 2 good teams for the exact reason that you're saying. I think this game is about a push and pull of the Rams shooting themselves in the foot over and over again, and the Niners deserving a lot of credit for what they put on the field offensively, given those injuries. Let's start with the first bucket of those things. I mean, we can list off 5 or 6 examples.
Yeah, where do you want to start with these?
The Los Angeles Rams continue to be extremely frustrating in some of these high leverage moments. The exact same reason they lost the Eagles game, which was a failed 3rd and short, I believe it was, or maybe it went in a 4th and short in that game as well. A failed short conversion that they should have had, plus mistakes in the kicking game. They miss a field goal in this game. They missed an extra point in this game. And the kick that Josh Carty, this is what he's been doing well all year, is that dead ball kick that's been giving them great field position, short of the landing zone, gives the Niners the ball at the 40-yard line. Oh, yeah, for good measure, let's throw in the fact that McVay probably should have gone for it on that 4th and 1 late in the game where they end up kicking the ball, punting the ball down to the 1-yard line. So again, we have like 5 mistakes from the Rams in high leverage moments, any of which, if it had gone their way, they probably could have and should have won this game. And it's becoming like a pretty familiar story with them, unfortunately.
And the 4th and 1 decision at the very end in overtime, I can't do it. We got to stop. Sean McVay has to accept, I think, with this particular roster, the offensive line's not good enough. Like in these moments, your offensive line is not good. You have the best receiver pairing in the NFL. You have a top 7 quarterback who was on fire for most of this night. Let them go win the game. Don't try to get 1 yard. Like the call itself blew my mind.
Even if you want to do that, can you just run to the strength of the offensive line? Like you had
the backup right tackles in the game.
You had Warren McClendon playing in this game, and you ran right at him, and you also ran right at Fred Warner. Just go left. Just Steve Avila's over there. Go over there. Try that way. Like the stubborn, like I get it. Like clearly Sean McVay wants that to be part of the Rams' identity, and good for him. And maybe it works, but like on the other side, do that, or preferably something a little more creative. Like I was telling Derrik this before we launched the stream. Like, I really don't think there's a long list of teams in the NFL that can line up in a condensed situation like that, where everybody's ready to pounce on the line of scrimmage in a must-have it situation. There's only a handful of teams that can just bully their way to the line to gain. And the Rams they're not one of them. I think you got to be a little more creative. If you don't want to put it in Stafford's hands, there are other things you can do. I mean, you have the most physical receiver in football ready to tote the rock for you too. Like, come on, man.
In so many situations, there would be teams that would try to get a little bit cute in that moment. I'd be like, come on, you can't get 1 yard. This is the exact team where I wouldn't say that because they have so many creative ways they could theoretically get 1 yard. I believe the Puka handoff touchdown earlier this year was on a 4th and 1.
It sure was,
yes,
Robert.
the Titans one, yes.
It sure was.
45 yards for a touchdown. And just think about like the runoff screen they ran to him for a touchdown in this game. Like you have unique weaponry to get you a short amount of yardage at the wide receiver position. And they still seem to be coming up short in these moments. And why this is particularly frustrating is that Stafford was out of his mind for such a huge portion of this game. Like when they actually weren't fumbling the ball, for the most part, he was dealing the entire night. The Niners had absolutely no answer in zone coverage. When they tried to play a little bit of man, that's when Devontae started cooking them. And I don't know if it was man on the first huge 2-2 completion, but it was single high. And they essentially did the same thing on the second 2-2 completion where it's quarters or cover 6, but he's running at the quarter safety. The other one's being yanked down by a deep curl for Devontae Adams. So that safety in both of those situations, I believe it was Marquise Siegel twice, has Tutu running full speed at him, and Stafford lets that thing rip. The second time, including a 360 spin in the pocket before chucking it back across the field, all for naught, because this team cannot hang on to the ball at the goal line and they can't get a yard.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, why are we... this is the best, in my opinion. Like, if you just needed a couple of yards for a passing offense, I don't want anyone else but those three. But Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams, and they don't go to it. It does not make sense to me in a game like this.
I'll say this. There's a very good chance that if they tried to throw the ball in that 4th and 1, my response would be, you can't get 1 yard. So I think it's kind of a damned if you do.
The eternal
I've already
dilemma.
seen them not get the 1 yard so many times this year.
Just run left. I don't even hate the call that much. Just don't run behind your backup tackle. That's what drives me crazy.
I will say, though, to give a little bit of credit to the Niners, Fred Warner makes an insane play there, blowing up the tight end and like getting a hand on. Like, that's an incredible play.
That's where I wanted to bring this conversation next, because this is not. Yes, did the Rams shoot themselves in the foot a bunch of different times in this game? Absolutely. The Niners deserve a ton of credit for why they stuck in this game throughout the entire thing. You can start in some of the more granular defensive moments, like Fred Warner coming downhill on that play, even like what Lenore did to stop that final 4th and 1. The Alfred Collins play on the goal line is an incredible play. Like, he throws a right haymaker at Kyren Williams, catches him in the face, first of all, and then gets the ball on the way down to save the game for the Niners. Like, this is not a situation where the ball slipped out of Kyren Williams' hands. That is a play that was made by Alfred Collins at the most important moment of the entire game.
When it happened live, I was like, oh, Kyren, this can't happen. And obviously it still can't happen. But when I saw the replay, I was like, oh shit, dude. Like, who's not dropping the football when they take a 300 and something pound man's fist to the face? That's unbelievable. And I was a little more understanding when I saw that, even if it is, just something that can't happen. I was like, that's gotta suck.
And then on offense in this game, Mac Jones deserves a ton of credit for the way that he played. I mean, he's banged up the entire day. And I do think that the Niners had a really good plan in terms of how they wanted to distribute the ball early. And, we can go back to very classic. The fact that it was Troy Reeder on the first Christian McCaffrey touchdown is just, and it was his first play on the field, by the way. So obviously he's not as involved as he was 3 or 4 years ago. But I mean, that was a meme for a long time, is that Kyle Shanahan just had the sniper scope out, taking advantage of the Rams linebackers over and over and over again. This team still refuses to invest in the position. And if you watch those first couple drives, this is all underneath completions, design screens, checkdowns. The big one to Bourne, I'm curious what you guys think about this, because it almost feels like in real time this would be impossible. But when you watch the bang nature of that 35-yard completion to Bourne on the first drive, Juszczyk is blocking that linebacker almost immediately after the ball is caught. And then they did it a little bit later where they actually had multiple underneath completions set up with lead blockers, which the Niners do all the time. So I'm wondering if that was actually designed in the moment, or it was just something that Juszczyk reacted to. Either way, you saw the foundation of the way that the Niners passing game wanted to distribute the ball in this game. And Derrik, the Rams really had no answers throughout the entire night. It was maddening.
This was, if you're going to play as much like pure zone coverage as the Rams do, and they do a lot of it, if you can get the ball out quickly and just get it to your playmakers. And the thing is, I think Mac Jones, if there's anything that we know he's good at, it's getting to the very top of his draft and balls out immediately. And it's accurate. He's a very, like, within 1 to 15 yards, ball's going to be exactly where it needs to be. And against a defense like this, especially where I think the Rams kind of struggled to get as much pressure as they would have wanted. Like, they had a couple of wins. Obviously, Byron Young's winning around the right side a handful of times, but like, they were generally not getting to him. And Mac Jones did a really good job. Like, he made a couple of throws to the intermediate area, obviously, but he had a 2.44 time to throw today. It was like, boom, ball is out. And he just did a really good job, again, picking on those linebackers. Like, the first touchdown he throws, they have Christian McCaffrey lined up in the backfield in like an under center formation. They bump him out to the left a little bit in motion. It kind of pulls the linebacker a little bit to that side. Mac Jones takes like 3 steps, boom, balls out to Jake Tonjes to the right side, away from where the linebacker just pulled. And then you mentioned the Christian McCaffrey touchdown, where he's one-on-one against Troy Reeder. They run a little rub to get him in the flat, balls out immediately right where it needs to be. Like, they just all night were able to pick on that. And so things got a little bit rockier once Mac like re-injured his knee for the 8 millionth time. But generally, he was a really gutsy performance. I think that was mostly what I was impressed by. The fact that he just kind of gritted it out was pretty incredible.
Especially once he got re-hurt. And I think it was the Niners' first field goal drive
when Byron Young just smoked him.
Well, take your pick. He got smoked like 5 times on that drive. Like, the Rams were beating the shit out of him. Every time he let go of the ball, he was getting decimated. And then, yeah, Byron Young finally had that one hit on him, which they called, the broadcast said it. They thought it was roughing the passer. I thought that was absurd. I thought Byron Young did a great job of like getting off of, yeah. But he took so many hits on that drive, and he stood in and delivered every single throw. I gained, obviously Mac Jones has won games for the Niners already this year. Like, he's had success in this league, but I just gained a lot of respect for him as a dude in this game. And I noticed when Cardi hit the game tying field goal at the end of regulation, they cut to Mac on the sideline, and he looked like somebody just told him that his dog died. Like, he was just like, I gotta go back out there. Like, he was a warrior tonight. It was cool to see.
He absolutely was. And that drive that's the one that sticks out to me as well, because there are 2 throws on that drive where I'm like, okay, you go, Mac Jones. The whole shot chunk to Kendrick Bourne on the left sideline against cover 2. That is a ballsy, big time sort of throw in that moment for a huge chunk gain. He comes back to Kendrick Bourne on the 3rd and 3, reverse wins immediately on that play. He's staring down the barrel, hits Kendrick Bourne on one of the 20,000 wrap routes or quick in breakers that the Niners threw in this game. And then it was that same drive was the 2nd and 6 completion to Bourne down like inside the 15, where Braden Fisk is in his lap as he's making that play. And so, yeah, where there are a lot of really good quick completions designed against zone coverage in this game that I think really shows a very good understanding that Kyle Shanahan has for the structure of the Rams defense. Absolutely. Did Mac Jones also make 3, 4, 5 like FU throws in really huge moments while he was dragging a leg around? Also, yes. And so I think this is a combination of really good plan, really gutsy performance, and then Kendrick Bourne doing his best Puka Nacua impression for an entire game.
That part of it was ridiculous. The fact that, like, I know that Kyle Shanahan loves Kendrick Bourne. Like, he's always wanted him on this team, tried to find a role for him. But to have that game was just like from the jump, right? Like, he was immediately clearly their number 1 guy in this game. Pretty cool. Well, actually, not immediately. Immediately, it looked like it was going to be the Christian McCaffrey game, where he got like a million touches on the first drive. And then after that, they kind of stabilized a little bit.
My brother called me before the game and he said, "What's the NFL record for a player for touches in a single game for an NFL player? Is Christian McCaffrey going to get there tonight?" And it seemed like we were on pace until we got the Kendrick Bourne game. Let's talk about big picture takeaways, because I think there are a couple on both sides here that are worth digging into. For the Rams, beyond just how frustrating they can be in moments like this, and they continue to be frustrating, when you actually think about what's real from that, rather than just a couple fumbles and high leverage moments, a short yardage flub, all that kind of stuff, The back seven, if the front four isn't getting home, that's worth talking about, right? Like that is the area of this roster that will hold this team back if they have actual championship aspirations. I think a combination of it was, like you mentioned, Derrik, he's getting rid of the ball quickly. And then you have Jared Verse going against Trent Williams for a huge majority of the game. So if he's going to be able to get shut down in one-on-one situations and not really impact the game until he started moving around a little bit and doing it on twists and stunts, that's when you really start to feel the limitations of the rest of this team in both zone and man coverage. And I do think that's something that isn't just limited to kind of bounce of the ball type stuff tonight for the Rams. That is actually a little bit concerning.
That's honestly how I feel. I think in a lot of ways, this was like a very true to form Rams performance where they also got the bad bounces. But like Stafford was out of his mind, which is what you expect from them. Nakua and Devontae Adams kind of traded drives when they needed to. The run game was like decent until they were fumbling. And then defensively, it was like you got a couple of quick pressures in some of these moments. But when the quarterback is finding all these soft spots in the zone, some of those quick pressures don't matter because your linebackers can't really cover for the most part. And your corners, I think, for the most part, cannot really cover, especially, and you can't do as much like man-to-man coverage as you want. So maybe your Rolodex of coverages is not as deep as other teams. Like this was a very true to form Rams game where, again, you get a little bit unlucky in the kicking game. You have a couple of drops and fumbles from the backs. Like the both of the backs had drops early on. Like Kyron had one on a 3rd and 6. I think Blake Corum had another one earlier in the game. And then obviously the fumbles that these guys had. So just like weird execution stuff, but like, I don't really feel that much worse about the Rams. Like if when they're going to lose games, this is what it's going to look like.
I think that's right. I think we knew that these limitations and these issues existed. I think they just kind of reared their ugly head tonight. And so I don't necessarily think differently about them. It's just kind of a jarring reminder of what might hold them back in the long run. Where do we sit with the Niners right now, Dave? I don't know what to make of this because part of me wants to say, all right, there will be reinforcements coming on offense, right? Like that is going to happen. You're going to get Brock back eventually. Kittle might be back next week. The receiving core will be healthier. But I sit here and look at that defense and just look at what the Rams were able to do to them. That those reinforcements aren't coming. Like that's going to be a really young group that, especially up front, you're going to need so much development from them over the course of the year for them to be serious enough by the end of the season for you to compete. That I just feel like even if this is going to be an offense that gets better and healthier over the course of the year, I have my concerns about that defense right now.
And with the exception of Brock Purdy, I would say like the single most impactful guy in terms of what the Niners need, what they don't have, he's not coming back. Nick Bosa is not coming back. Like that is a guy that could single-handedly raise the expectation, raise the floor of what they're capable of, be that gravitational player that you can build everything around. And he can just be your pass rush and let everybody else sort of rotate around him. That's not happening. And that's tough. So yeah, I'm with you in that regard. I'll throw out there, maybe Malik Mustafa could make a difference for this team when he gets back. I like he was practicing, maybe not practicing, but I think he was like doing stuff this week. So you get a weekend off. Maybe you can sort of hope that he's back in the lineup. I think Robert Saleh deserves a hell of a lot of credit. I mean, obviously Stafford was throwing the ball all over the place. This is not like an elite San Francisco defense, but just to have them coherent and making plays and being there at the end to help win this thing, I think it's a testament to him, just like it's a testament to Mac Jones. But yeah, in the big picture, not having Bosa's rough. And I don't know how consistently you can do that, and I don't know how much better you can expect it to be.
You'll play against worse offenses over the rest of the season. You probably won't be playing against worst offenses if you somehow sneak into the playoffs. And I think that's, to me, where the discussion is rooted.
The Niners are one of those teams where, I mean, even like we can't pencil them into the playoffs, but like
they're 4-1.
But I like they're one of those teams where you think about it in terms of like January, but yeah, like just for the rest of the season, especially with the reinforcements that they could get on offense, their offense could absolutely be good enough that the defense isn't as big of a hindrance as it might be, for sure.
Yeah, they're going to be a team where when they get to January, it's going to have to be like 33-30 wins, which is fine. We know that this offense at their best can do that, but that's going to be how they're going to have to live.
Mike Mularkey is the Titans coach. I was
God,
thinking
that's
by the way. I just had to get that off before we got out of here. I didn't want to end the show without having the poll of Mike Mularkey. I was thinking about Mike Mularkey against Doug Marrone.
I knew it
Doug
was
Marrone. There it is.
I knew it was an E sound, but my brain kept going to like Chan Gailey, and I'm like, I know that's not right. That can't be.
No,
it. But,
no,
Mike
that wasn't
Mularkey.
right.
I wanted to say too, it's officially October, and it still feels a little early for this to matter, but all of the Rams wins are against AFC teams. And they just lost a division game, and they lost an NFC game to a contender in Philadelphia. So it's early, but that's the type of shit where in December, your fans are looking at it like, oh my God, we lost to the Niners MASH unit, and that's why we can't host a playoff game. Or like, that's why we're a half game behind in the standings. Like, it is still early, and I'm not worried about the Rams really, but yeah, when you start to stack up NFC losses, that's how you get bit when it comes to figuring out the playoff seeding.
We have to wait another month and a half to see the Seahawks play the Rams, which I feel like is not fair. I think that's a little bit upsetting to me.
What?
Yeah. November 16th is the first Seahawks Rams game, and then they play again on December 18th. They don't play the Cardinals for the first time until December 7th. So we have a decent amount of NFC West games crammed into the back half of the season for the Rams. But again, I don't feel any differently about them. But this, like you said, Dave, might be one of those games where you look back at the schedule by the time this is all said and done, and this one hurts just a little bit more. All right. That is all we've got for tonight. If you guys have not checked out our Week 5 preview on the Athletic Football Show feed or here on YouTube, highly encourage you to do that. Really fun slate of games. Dug into Commanders. Chargers is one of the games of the week. Hit Bucks, Seahawks. Really dove deep in the Seahawks. We haven't talked about their offensive defense really at all on the Real Podcast feed. Not part of one of those Thursday night recaps. And then hit several other games from what I think is a pretty underrated slate. If you're watching on YouTube, highly encourage you to subscribe, like this video. Please comment below. Have really enjoyed doing more stuff specifically for YouTube this year, and it is going to continue throughout the rest of the season. For now, that's all we got. Appreciate you guys listening. We'll talk to you very soon.